Okay, so like on number 1, because I see these parentheses right here, and I have the exponent outside the parentheses, we should be using the power rule. What does the power rule tell us to do? Yeah, you multiply the exponent. So this gets simplified as x to the 10th power, because we did x and had a power 2, and then we multiplied it to that 5. So x to the 10th is the final answer. Okay, so number 2 is the same rule, because hopefully you see again you have parentheses and you have an exponent outside that parentheses. So you kind of, some people think of it as like distributing. If you want, you can think of it as you're using that exponent to each letter. Okay, so the first letter we have is the M. It has an exponent of 7. Then I'm going to multiply it times that 4. Then I go to the next letter, which is the N. It had an exponent of 4. And then I'm going to multiply it times the 4. So it's like distributing the exponent to each variable. Okay, so you're using the power rule on each letter. Okay, see if you get that final answer. Okay. So when you write this, this should be M to the 28th power and N to the 16th power. If you're not sure about the multiplication, just use the calculator, guys. You're going to need it today. Trust me. Just get a habit of using it. All right, number 3. Okay. Again, hopefully you recognize, you see the parentheses. Sorry. All right. And we have the exponent outside the parentheses. So again, this is power rule. What do you think the answer is? Close. You're close. Okay. Because you have the 5, right? That's your coefficient. You're going to have to distribute this exponent to that 5. So that's going to be 5 squared. You see what I did? I put the 2 with the coefficient, with the number. Then I go to the variable, which is x. X has an exponent of 7, but now I multiply that times 2. Okay, so this gets simplified to what? 25, yeah, it should be 25 is your now new coefficient. Because 5 squared, and if you weren't too sure, you just put 5. Let me clear this out so I can start over. And clear. All right. So 5 squared is 25. So we were going to write the simplified answer would be 25x to the 14th. Because you're doing 7 times 2. So you might need to remember right here, this is just a little note, that examples with coefficients, remember that's your number in front. That was that 5. Number in front of variable. If you have a coefficient, okay, you have to take that coefficient and raise the coefficient to the given power. Okay, simplify the variables with the power rule. Everything else is the power rule like we've used before. So, do we have a coefficient on number 4? Do you have a coefficient on number 4? Do you have a number in front of the variable? I'm talking about letters, guys.
Yes.
What is that number?
2.
2 is the coefficient. We have parentheses, and we have the 5 outside the parentheses. So we take that 2 and we raise it to the power of 5. Then we do each variable with the power rule. The x squared, we do times 5. And the y, which is the next variable, it doesn't have an exponent, so we raise it to that power. So the y has now a power of 5. So now we simplify this. What's 2 to the 5th power? Yeah. So this comes out to be 32 x to the 10th power, y to the 5th power. All right, I need you to try number 5. If you want to do one at a time, like I'm trying to model, you can.
Well, you put a parenthesis in 4, right?
Yes. All right, do we have questions? Because it's actually a positive 256, not a negative 256. It's a positive 256, not a negative 256. You have to put this negative 4 in parentheses. And then you got to understand that if you're raising a negative 4, if you're putting a negative 4 to the 4th power, that is saying a negative 4 times a negative 4 times a negative 4 times a negative 4, 4 times.
Yeah, that would cancel out.
Okay, let me move this over. So, because I'm doing it 4 times, right? Think about it like this. What happens when you do a negative times a negative? It becomes a positive. So right here, I don't mean to change that to that. Sorry. So this right here, when I do that, that becomes a positive 16. Then I'm multiplying it by a negative 4 and times a negative 4. So then when I do a positive 16 times a negative 4, that gives negative 64. Then I'm multiplying it by another negative 4. So because I have a negative times a negative, that becomes a positive 256. So what you have to remember, let's say you make a computation or typing error. You have to remember if it's even, if your exponent is even, okay, then it's going to always be positive, a positive answer. If the exponent is odd and you have a negative number, okay, if you have an odd exponent with a negative number, then it was going to be negative. If it's even exponent with an integer with a negative number, it's going to turn into a positive answer. Even exponents are always positive. All right, so let's do some mixed practice. On number, why is it doing that? 6. What should we do first?
Distribute.
Yeah, the parentheses right here, distribute this 3. I'm trying to give y'all time to try it first, so we're doing the power rule first. You need to rewrite what's in the parentheses. Distribute the 3. That means we're going to multiply the exponents. So what does this become? X to the what? Come on, guys. X to the 9th. And y what? To the 9th. Then I'm going to multiply that to what I have, which is x, y squared. Now, because you're doing multiplication right here, this is the product rule. Yeah, so we're going to add the exponents. if I add the exponents for my x's, what am I going to have a total of? Yep, x to the 10th power. Yep, and then if I add my y's, that's going to be to the 11th power. And that's the final answer. So on number 7, where do we start? Anyone? Okay, I'll let you write it. Yeah. When you start with the parentheses, you don't have a parentheses anymore when you distribute the 4. I don't know if y'all noticed, but like when I started with the parentheses here, when I wrote it, there was no more parentheses because basically I used the rule to get rid of the parentheses. All right, hopefully we have a negative a to the 8th, b to the 4th. I'm distributing the 4 to each variable, the exponent. And I'm now just going to take that and multiply it to a to the 3rd power. Okay, so what does this now become? Because what are we going to do now? Yeah, which exponents can you add? Yeah, the a's. Because it's a product, you're multiplying, you can add those. So what's our final answer? It'll be negative a to the what? To 11th power and b to the 4th. Yes.
Why didn't you put a parentheses in A the first time?
Oh, because I know that if it's even, like I know when I multiply it, when I distribute it, because I knew I had another thing to do. I just knew that it was going to be the negatives in front of the a. It's not part of the whole. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a 1 in front of it.
So if it's a number, you would put parentheses around it, but if it's a variable, you wouldn't.
Yeah, it would be like a 1. Well, actually, because we distribute the 4, the 8, I'm sorry, you're right. This 8 is an odd number, so this would end up being positive.
That's what I was.
Yeah. Like you could, yeah, I think of negatives like negative ones and being in front. Like I think of it as a coefficient of a negative 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would there be a question where the A would be negative?
If the exponent was odd, it would stay negative. Like if the
7?
yeah, so if it was like a 7, then yes. Yeah, like if yeah. So when you did it, if you started off with an odd number, then it would stay negative. Yes. All right, so on 8, we got 2 sets of parentheses. So I'm just going to do the first set first, basically. Just do the power roll to each term. This 2 on the outside is going to go to each part. So even if I wrote negative 2 squared and a squared, and now b is not squared anymore because what do I do to the exponents? You multiply, so that's b to the 4th. And then I see that this negative 2 right here has an exponent of 2, right? And 2 is even. So what does that number turn into? Positive 4. So our final answer would be 4a squared b to the 4th on this part, just for this set of parentheses. I'm trying to give y'all time, guys. Like, I'm trying to let you try to write it and then check. But y'all have me worried. I didn't think I was gonna have to worry about y'all, but y'all are way too quiet today.
9a to the power of 4, the second power.
Yeah, this one we're gonna do the next set of parentheses, which has a 2. I'm distributing that 2 to each term. So yes, this becomes 9a to the 4th, b to the second power. Now, because we're multiplying, what do we have to do to the exponents? You would add them. You add the exponents, but you go ahead and multiply the coefficients. So you are doing 4 times 9, which is 36. I'm going to do it underneath. And then this would be a to the 6th power, b to the 6th power. So do a parentheses. Parentheses is first, just like in order of operations. Parentheses comes before anything. Comes before exponents, comes for multiplying. So we need to do this set of parentheses first. If you do the power rule to that binomial, let's see if you can get the correct results. Okay, you get your exponents right, but you didn't do it to the 3. You have to put this 4 to this 3 to the power of 4. That's why I'm trying to write it with that exponent. What's 3 to the 4th power? 81. That some of you are multiplying 3 times 4 and doing 12. No, you have to raise it to that power, guys. Like, if you, I'm not expecting you to know that. So just put your exponent box. You're not multiplying the number, the coefficient. You're only multiplying the exponents. So this should be 81 x to the 12th power y to the 4th. Then we had a minus, and we're going to do the next set of parentheses. So try the next one. Again, you have to fix the number. You're not putting that to the power of 2. Yeah, that's right. Kayla, I know you work ahead, that's fine, but you need to check because your steps are off. Like, I was looking at your work. I need you to fix a couple problems.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
All right, what's the next one here? What does this turn into?
49.
Yeah, 49.
25th power.
No. To the 10th power.
Y to the 2.
Yeah, y to the 2nd power, or y squared, yes.
Then move down x to the 2nd power and y to the 2nd.
Yeah, we bring that down, x to the 2nd, y to the 2nd, and we're multiplying those. And because we're multiplying these two here, we use the product rule. Yep, we do addition. So do the addition to only the last 2 terms. What's your final answer? check your exponents though. I think they're inverted. Uh-huh.
For okay.
You subtract.
Oh.
Sorry. All right, sorry. All right, so this one right here is still a coefficient of 49, but now it's x to the 12th, y to the 4th. You should have added those exponents. And we had the 81 x to the 12th, sorry, 81 x to the 12th, y to the 4th. Okay, so, and we're subtracting them. Because the variable and the exponents are the same, that means you have like terms. So now we're just subtracting the coefficient. You don't change the variable and exponent. You keep it the same, and you just subtract the coefficient. So 81 minus 49, it's going to leave you with 32. And then you keep that variable the same. So x to the 12th, y to the 4th. Yes. So we're going to take these same rules, these same mixed kind of approaches, and now apply it to geometric figures. So if you go to the next part,